Oh,
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Heal Yourself Naturally, brought to you by IPAC. This series features the wisdom of experienced herbalists. My name is Nicole Dromi, and it is my honor to host these podcasts and webinars alongside with Hava Levy and Sarah Woods-Kender. To start our very first episode, I'd like to introduce our two herbalists formally. We have Hava, who is an experienced healer and herbalist with over 25 years of experience in natural healing. Her passion and her dedication has helped thousands of clients lead cleaner and healthier lives. Sarah, a clinical herbalist and Reiki master with over 20 years of experience, has combined both herbal medicine and Reiki to benefit all of her clients. She has taught numerous classes, both online and in person, guiding people on the use and identification of medicinal plants. You can find more information about our esteemed herbalists on their websites, HavaWellness.com and sarahsherb.com. Hello, Sarah, and hello, Hava.
hello,
Welcome,
hello.
How are you? How are you ladies doing? I know we're all very excited to get these webinars started. We have been working on it for quite some time.
I'm excited. I love talking about the plants. So any opportunity I get, I love it.
That's
And
great.
I love it when people are interested in it. So
yes, yeah. We are all very excited to get we have so much wealth of knowledge between both of you, and let's jump straight into it, into our first topic, which is let the blood flow, increasing blood flow in our bodies. I'd love to start with you, Sarah, and know, how do you define the importance of proper circulation?
Well, how do I define proper circulation? Well, I suppose it could be, I mean, it's pretty basic. I look at it as
He needs to be fed. You can drink all.
when the blood is getting to all your organs properly and all the microcirculation areas in your body, so your extremities as well. So it's about blood, and it's also about, when I think of circulation, I don't just think of blood, although that's a really important component. Blood carries all your nutrients to your cells, but we also want to think of circulation in regards to lymphatic fluid, because that's the fluids that should go out of your body. So it really is indicative of proper detoxification. So nutrient uptake and detoxification. That's what I look for in proper circulation.
Great. Chava, what would you say? How would you define circulation or proper circulation in that matter?
Well, for me, it's very similar to what Sara suggested. Well, because I would look at the definition of circulation, and when there is no life, when there is no life flowing into important organs, and when the life, which is blood, and obviously it's not only blood, as Sarah said, it's lymphatic, it's nutrients, it's many other things, but mainly it's a blood. And when the blood is in stagnation, when the blood is in a blockage, there is a death. That's how I simplified in the matter for me. So whenever I close my eyes and I'll look at the people who are sick, and I look at the people who have some sort of a failure in their organs, the first thing you will have to look if there is a stagnation, which is a blockage. And that's the simplified method for me, is just look like that. There is a pain, there is a blockage, there is a organ malfunction, there is a blockage. So anything and everything starts with whenever we are lacking a blood flow. For me, blood is a river of life, which brings all the nutrients and all life to every organ. And once we're missing that, then that's what we basically get sick, and we're dealing with very bad diseases.
Yes, absolutely. So I'd like to hear a little bit more about, let's talk about certain cases that you've both come across, and try to give some examples of that stagnation in a person and what you can do in order to offer proper circulation into that malfunctioning organ. What can someone hope to see as signs of of proper circulation starting. Sarah, what would you like to say?
Well, first I'd like to talk about color, because when I look at someone and assess them with their, like, I kind of do like a traditional Chinese medicine diagnostic technique. So color brings a lot to the table, whether it's the color on your face, the color on your, hands, your nails, your feet. And when I see white, I think of lack of circulation, you know? Um, and so I have one example that I often use. And this was years ago when someone's daughter, my friend's daughter, had some very symmetrical foot fungus on both of her feet. And when you see symmetrical stuff like that, it really kind of clues you into that, if it's happening on both sides, and especially on the feet, you want to look at what they're wearing on their feet, their shoes, and what they're doing. So it turns out that she was not wearing proper shoes, walking on cobblestones every day. And she just did not have good circulation in her feet, which made her feet prone to fungus, because blood flow brings nutrients. It also brings immune cells. And your immune cells in your blood and in your lymphatic fluid are constantly fighting off pathogens and foreign products or foreign pieces and parts of bacteria and viruses in your body constantly, because we're breathing them in, we're eating them. And certainly our feet, especially if they're in shoes and they're moist and all that fun stuff, they're very susceptible to fungus. So that was one of my, a very glaring, not really a case study, but example of, and of course, as soon as she changed her shoes, her fungus went away. So, and sometimes the best way to address something is to figure out what the source is, and you usually don't even have to use an herb. I find that the least amount of addressing a situation, the least amount you can do, the better. And so always find the source of it. And so that was a really easy, example. So.
And so just by changing her shoes, she was offering more circulation to that area, and her body did its own thing, because Correct. At the end of the day, we are self-healing machines. We just, sometimes create these barriers for our body, like shoes Correct. Or moisture in that area, and we're inhibiting the ability to let nature run its course and let the body actually do what it's meant to do, right?
What it meant, yes. And it's a very self-healing machine. And I can also add too, if someone's dealing with that kind of foot fungus and they do want to intervene with something because they don't want to wait for it to go away, certainly things like saltwater soaks nightly with maybe a little lavender, even essential oil or flowers, or you can even do apple cider vinegar in there, will get rid of that fungus. So you could intervene a little bit, but you can also let it heal itself now that it has the opportunity to do so.
Absolutely. Hava, I'd love to hear an example from you on a case of circulation
right. Well,
in one of your clients.
Sure. So it's very interesting because there is many cases, and I wanted people to know that almost, as I mentioned in the beginning, all the problems is with anything that we're dealing. It starts with a lack of circulation. The nutrients don't get in, and the waste material doesn't go out. Stagnation happens. So how many cases we've seen? Almost all the cases. We can start with the headache. I've had people who have a constant headaches. Why the headaches? Well, because the blood is not flowing, the nutrients don't get in. Blood is the oxygen don't get in. We start with the headache. So what is the first thing? To create circulation, right? The same thing. How many clients we all the time hear they have arthritis? What is the arthritis? The buildup of a toxic matter in a certain areas where there is no lack of circulation. Now, other like almost any disease, and that's why when we speak about one case specifically, as Sara mentioned so beautifully, but almost all diseases, either it can be heart, high blood pressure. What is the high blood? We hear cases of I hear almost every day, high blood pressure. What is the high blood pressure? That's a stagnation. The blood is not moving. The blood is not flowing. We get into trouble. Why? Because maybe that person, let's say, sitting in a not correct way. And what, as Sara mentioned, there is no blood flow to the toes. In that case, there is no blood flow toward the heart. When the heart is not pumping enough and doing the job that it's supposed to do, we had high blood pressure. And as simple as a proper adjustment, right? That, as you mentioned, we should also say the treatment. So even simple thing, as many people so worry, oh, I have a high blood pressure. What is the high blood pressure? There's no blood flow. So how you do it, you go to the good chiropractor and through couple adjustments, not just one. Many people don't understand what means adjustment by chiropractor. Just go once in a blue moon. No, you do proper adjustment slowly. You recreate circulation. You send blood over the area, and then you see, as Sara mentioned, even without the medicine, the blood pressure regulates itself. And so many cases, one after another. Same thing with the eyes. What is the eyes? Eyes is a muscle. If we don't train, we don't work on our muscles, what happens? No, there's no blood flow. We get sick. How we treat it? Even just by clapping or doing hot and cold, or massaging it, or even wearing a special glasses where we train to bring back the life toward the eyes, we can heal the eyes. So that's like, it's like endless. We can go over 100 cases that we see on daily basis. But that's the first thing, is always to understand, whenever there is a pain, you have a fungi, as Sara mentioned, you have a high blood pressure, you have a headache, you have a swollen legs, what is the first thing? There is no blood flow. So remember that. And the treatment is always to create and bring in circulation. And I can go over, even before mentioning, we're going to go obviously about the herbs, but first thing is just doing hot and cold shower, right? The first thing that everyone can do is so simple. Just go under the shower, put some hot water, and then gently bring cold. Hot and cold will create circulation. Sara mentioned, get rid of the shoes that are blocking circulation. Wear a different shoes. Then you see a result. It's all about bringing in circulation by doing weird things that sometimes
I'd
people
love to
don't
talk a little
understand.
bit more about hydrotherapy. Sara, have you used that enough in your practice and seen great success? Because I personally have seen good success in it. I'd love to hear from you about hydrotherapy, or what methods you would provide to your clients in increasing circulation.
Well, I certainly would suggest that,
Yeah.
but I definitely suggest, things like saunas, hot water baths, for all different types of things. But when I'm looking at circulation, so say if I have someone who is sitting down a lot, they have a desk job, they may be a little older, and I look at their feet and they have those little white patches on their feet underneath the skin. So there's a white, it can be like dotted white, or if there's edema, so that means if there's swelling in the feet or even in the hands. The one thing that I suggest people do, and it's super easy and it's non-invasive, besides the hot and the cold therapy, I love that idea, as Hava mentioned. I use just a simple like grapeseed oil, and I use ginger essential oil. Or you could do, which is really easy for people to do, as far as, because there's so many people that are indifferent to teas and herbal medicine because it might not taste good. They don't, or if they're on a lot of medications, we have to be mindful. So topical things are real nice for circulation. And so ginger essential oil is an excellent warming essential oil that you can use with a carrier like olive oil or grapeseed oil, and you just rub it on your extremities daily. So ginger is one that I use quite a bit, and you certainly can use that internally to increase circulation. What was the other one I was thinking of too, and is often employed as a catalyst in many herbal blends, is rosemary. Now, rosemary is a nootropic, so it's going to increase circulation in the brain. So we know that it increases circulation throughout the body. But you can also use rosemary externally, topically, and it's considered what's called a rubeficient, and so is ginger. So when you rub it on your skin, it's going to bring blood to the surface. That's what rubeficients are. Our mustards are very similar, and they kind of do the same thing. So, you know, with someone who may be on a lot of medications or doesn't, or they don't like ginger, or certainly not rosemary, that's a hard one to take internally. Topical applications to circulation are an excellent idea. And so that's what I would do for someone who looks like they need to have that circulation increase. So I don't know if you've ever seen that. And they come out as little, like it's their skin turns white and they're little dots.
White dots.
You've seen that before, Hava?
Yes. Yeah.
And that to me is definitely blood. I mean, there's no question that's blood. And the edema can be, you know, there's a lack of circulation there, but there's also some water imbalance. So we want to address the water imbalance. And that's kind of a different aspect to this talk. But the first simple thing you could do is some ginger and get things moving and get even that a light lymphatic massage upwards, and get them walking and moving.
That's great. Yeah.
Right.
Hava, you mentioned something, you said clapping.
Yes.
So that is a method that when I've heard you speak in the past, I've heard you use it a lot. I'd love for you to touch a little bit about clapping.
Okay, so clapping, I think, is one of the most incredible and easy ways that almost everyone can implement, because all what you need is your hands. And what I also found about the beauty of clapping is that when you clap over almost every area in your body, you can feel where you are lacking the circulation or where you have the blockage. See, most of us, we don't think that maybe here we might have pain. Well, we feel here, but we don't feel here. But when we clap, we suddenly realize that, oh, I have a pain here. I never thought I have a pain here. And that's what the beauty is. By using your hands, you just recreate circulation just by clapping on every area. You can start from your head. Even if you go on my Instagram, I made like 2 videos of the clapping exercise where you clap over your head. That also will create in circulation, will bring blood flow, the hair will grow better, the same thing. And then you slowly clap. And I also have seen an amazing result when the people really take a clapping into the more, I would say, more
another level,
Intense?
the next level up.
Yeah, in even like level that you don't understand. For simplified people, you just clap. But I've seen cases of people who had cancer, who had other horrible diseases, and just by clapping on that area, they've been able to pull whatever the garbage is to the surface, and from the surface it will just leave. That's how amazing just your 2 hands can be. And we don't understand. We don't think that that something that we have right in front of us can help us to heal. You understand? And this is what I really want, that like what Sara mentioned, you use your hand, you put your hands into work. And I'm here telling you, you use your hands as a healing tools. And it's absolutely incredible. And if you have a pain, or if you want to bring a new good blush over your face, what do? You just clap, right? This is what something been known for years. You clap.
For sure, yeah. I think we should all
right?
clap all day long.
Right. So as
Increase
more you
that
clap,
elasticity
you create
and
circulation, you create more blood, and also this is the way to scan your body. Because when you clap, you scan it. And when you feel, let's say you clap in the back, and after a couple minutes, you feel pain. What does it show you? Something is off balance. Clapping is absolutely incredible tool.
I just did it for 3 seconds and I felt it right here. So
yeah,
maybe
well,
you
feel like there is no energy flowing. You just start clapping and you feel
something
energy.
here is stuck.
Right.
It speaks to like, you know how when you get up in the morning and you're groggy and you're just like, wake up.
Exactly.
I think we do it like automatically. Like,
Yeah,
Right?
you know, there is
Wake up.
actually, this is one of the first things is when you wake up, and I'm telling you, I've had the one case of one lady who told me that she took it very seriously, in the clapping issue, and then because she had the gray hair, a lot of gray hair, she really wanted to have a more natural hair, obviously by providing nutrients and stuff like that, but also by clapping she was able to reverse. I'm still working on it, but she was able to do it. It's absolutely incredible. So just meaning, like, what do you mean? Just by taking my hands and just clapping over certain areas, I can create, yes.
well, that's
Headache.
why
There are other methods of clapping, right? There's something called a clapper,
Yeah,
right?
there is a couple
you have
methods.
one.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
There is a couple there is another one that
Oh,
looks
yeah.
just like that.
I've seen those. Yeah.
That's a professional one. Usually the ladies like to take it and then spank their husbands.
I really need one of those.
Right.
But basically, but this tool, you need to know how to use it. So I always suggest first start using your hands, teach your body to appreciate, to understand, and it's good because when you scan it, you feel it. What is the first thing that we people say? Don't do mammograms or whatever that is. What you do clapping. When you clap, you feel, oh, I have something here. What I have, and then you start massage. See, that's the whole beauty of it, and that's also teaching you about yourself,
body,
teaching
yeah.
you about why I have the problem. And then if you're sitting on your butt all day long, then it's a problem, right? Then get up and just clap, and then you'll see that you no longer want to put your butt for a couple hours.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
and we can also talk. I mean, I do know that that clapping originates in China, correct? That was the
Yeah.
method that originated in China. Chinese medicine is just, you know, incredible, and we're lucky to have Sara here that knows a lot about it.
Amazing.
I'd love to hear about acupuncture from you, Sara. I don't know if you know lots about it, but I know that it does also stimulate and create circulation in the body, right? Is that
Well,
something that you
well, I
push
don't.
your?
Well, I obviously don't practice acupuncture,
Yeah.
but I definitely
Yeah.
suggest people do acupuncture because that the whole idea. Okay, so we're talking about like physical circulation, but there's this energetic circulation that goes around our bodies, you know, and it follows these you could look at them as ley lines, but they're basically energy energy lines that connect in the body. And there's many, and I don't pretend that I'm an expert in Chinese medicine techniques or anything. I do know a fair amount about it, but essentially what our acupuncture is doing is helping connect those areas to get the chi flowing. That's the energy flowing. So, you know, it kind of goes hand in hand with circulation. There's the physical and there's kind of the metaphysical aspect of flow. And so that's what acupuncture does. And I know a
Which
lot of
is really what healing is, right? There's more than one, not just the physical healing. And many accounts I've seen people who are in, you know, going through something, but it's also what's happening around them that really takes that affects the ailment or the disease or whatever that is happening in their life or their body at that time. And
You know,
you know, stress is very indicative with disease. Yeah, please, Kava, go ahead.
I don't want to forget, but the important, when Sara mentioned about the chi flow, and I remember this one case of one, I think she's like over 80 years old, and she had a very severe cough and would come at night. Or usually most the coughs, they come at night, but the problem was by her that it would get so violent and so bad. So we've done hot and cold, we've done different treatments, we took herbs. And then I thought that would be a great idea to take her to the chiropractor to awaken and bring life toward those areas. And you know, after 2 treatments, she was fine.
Yeah.
So see how it works, everything in combination. It's absolutely incredible.
Yes, and lungs,
Right.
as someone who suffered from asthma all my life, it gets very tight in here. And if you have this chronic cough, it is very tight. So that's excellent. You know, I would think that would work really well. And I also suggest people who have chronic cough and things even like asthma is stretch. stretch this whole area. Stretching is so important for circulation that I think we should mention it. And I don't think enough people do it. You know, they end up going
Correct.
into surgery before they'll stretch. And I just see it so often, so often.
Right. They want
And
that quick fix that really, you know, but then they create more damage to
More
the body.
stuff.
And
It's
then on
really,
that note, we have to add chiropractors, because what they do is they help to open
That's it.
up.
Yep.
It's an absolutely incredible results where you have a people that are going rushing to the surgery. I have now one case of somebody that I'm really want to help him. He's 86-year-old man, has arthritis, cannot move, sometimes cannot remove his clothes for a couple days, right?
Oh,
And so bad. And the doctor said, oh, we have to do a surgery. I said, no surgery. I'm going to drive all the way, is where I have the farm. I'm going to drive there. I'm going to bring him to the city, even though he does not want to be in the city. But I will drag him to my chiropractor, and we will start slowly adjusting. And I'm sure that how beautifully he will be able to restore himself. See, it's stretching. That's
yeah.
exactly
They end
a
up like,
chiropractor. So whenever you're dealing with the issue, you use all the tools. So remember, whoever is listening to our podcast, that it's the tools that you need to use. Clapping, right? We use what Sarah said, bringing circulation by using different herbs, by also using scrubbing, by using clapping, and using chiropractor, and using acupuncture. So don't give up. There's so much more before we are going in.
so really what people
took
have to
over, Nicole.
understand
Not
is
good.
what generally people really have to understand, that diseases begin to manifest when there is a lack of circulation in a certain area, right? We can all agree on that. But with the lack of circulation, things start happening in the body, and if a certain organ is not receiving good amount of blood flow and circulation, then you start seeing the problems trickle down, and so on and so forth. We talked about plenty of good methods to increase circulation in that area. One of them is obviously listening to your body, like Kava said, just touching, really understanding what is going on in my body, why is this hurting, and then taking the next step. I heard a little bit from Sarah about herbs that will increase circulation topically, which is great, because some people, they are indifferent to the taste of herbs, whether it be tea, but there's also capsules that people can take, right? Sometimes they shy away from making it in a tea form, but there's capsules. And we heard some really good examples from you with ginger, rosemary, which herbs are so beautiful in a sense that you can never be shocked that something that is so common on your shelf could do something so magically for you. So rosemary, we heard about ginger. What are some other herbs, Sarah, that are your favorite circulation herbs in the body?
okay, I want to get to that, but I want to talk just a little bit about this other you mentioned it twice, and I think it needs to be said.
Yeah.
So when I look at imbalances in the body, instead of calling them disease, I call them dis-ease. And
Yes.
I'm not even trying to correct you, Nicole. Don't even look at it that way. It's like,
No,
and
I agree.
a lot of my students are like, dis-ease. And it really just implies that it's there for a short amount of time and it will go away. And, it's teaching you something about yourself. It's teaching you something. And every one of us has an imbalance. And so we talk about circulation with that imbalance, right? Which is that physical imbalance. But there's this emotional and energetic and vibrational imbalance that every single one of us has. And I'll use some examples. And I believe, this kind of takes it a little bit further in kind of like a Reiki, in a Reiki way, right?
Mhm.
So whenever I do Reiki on somebody, I'm checking in with the chakras, and we can have a whole thing on chakras at one time. And I think that would be a wonderful talk. But when we look at imbalances in the body, so let's talk about lungs. Lungs hold grief, right? And when someone has a lung problem, I'm always wondering what grief they're holding on to. Okay. When we look at the kidneys, we're looking at fear. It's what are we fearful about? And when you see somebody in fear, their imbalances are gonna be around the kidney. They're gonna be around stress. They're gonna have anxiousness and worry. So I just want to like mention that too, because the energetic imbalances come in just as well as those circulatory imbalances can come in. So
Yeah.
and it's true to form with everyone. And
Yeah.
sometimes these imbalances come in from past lives. They're not just this lifetime. So wrap that around your head, which I think is fascinating. Okay, so so going on to the herbs for circulation, there's a lot of herbs that I would use, and probably my favorite is hawthorn. So hawthorn is a tree.
Berries or the leaves?
Both.
Both.
Use hawthorn, leaf, flower, and berry. And
Mhm.
so what hawthorn, it's a tree that grows in the temperate forest. There's many different, there's a, it's one genus, so there's many different species. And you can use any species, I'm pretty sure. I use several different types of species of Crataegus, and that's the hawthorn tree. So we're using the leaf, flower, and berry and tea extracts, encapsulations, and that's more for internal. So it's not as useful topically uh, as these pungent herbs are like rosemary and ginger, but internally what hawthorn does is it reduces inflammation. And we know that inflammation, as Hava mentioned, the arthritis is the inflammation that's reducing and restricting blood flow, and hypertension, that's reduced and restricted blood flow. What hawthorn does is a tonic for the circulatory system, and it reduces the inflammation that's in there, and it helps the blood flow from the internal sources. There's other herbs I use for things like stagnant blood, and we can see this a lot with in the lung, especially. I see it a lot with people maybe with like a GERD situation. Sometimes they get to the point where their lungs are so affected that there's so much inflammation in there because of the acid reflux that you can almost see the purple in their cheeks. And when you see the purple in their cheeks, that's lack of oxygen. So we want to address that. And GERD is a lot of people's lung problems. So that's just another example. And an herb I would use for that is not a very common herb. It's called lady's thumb. And lady's thumb grows wild everywhere. And what's really interesting is that when the COVID hit and everyone was getting the vaccinations, there was a lot of blood clotting issues. And wouldn't you know it, lady's thumb and shepherd's purse came in gangbusters to my property, which I thought was very interesting. And shepherd's purse is a styptic. So it's actually going to stop the blood flow for obvious reasons, if there's a hemorrhage or something. But with these vaccines, we were seeing this paradoxical effect of blood clotting and in issues with blood flow. And it was quite paradoxical. So I just wanted to say that, and how these herbs will come to you, especially if you're a practitioner, but it doesn't matter. They come to you, they find you, and use them. So I guess my favorite would be hawthorn.
Yeah.
And
everybody's bio individual, right?
Right.
We all have an herb that may work for one person, and then the other one will work wonders for the other person. So it's all about trying what's good for you and what feels right, right? We have to listen.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And what I like about hawthorn is that it's a tonic, and you can take it every day, and it's very safe for everybody. And it's not, something that can build up in your body that could be potentially dangerous. So lady's thumb
Is it something that should be avoided for people on certain heart medications, or no?
That's kind of not really true to form. And it really depends on what type of blood thinner. So as a caveat, and you'll have an FDA disclaimer, as people will know when they join into these, is that, we're not treating or anything like that as far as medical things, but we're just lending advice, but we always want to be mindful of what medications people are on. And you're
Absolutely.
not just using medications willy-nilly. I mean, herbs willy-nilly if you're
Herbs.
on certain types of medications. So certainly blood thinners and steroids are your major ones, SSRIs, antidepressants. But I don't really feel like people can't take Hawthorne on a blood thinner, because it really doesn't work that way. But I would be mindful if they're on the old type, like the warfarins or even Coumadin. I step very lightly around those. But the Eliquis and the newer ones, they really don't interact with those. So I feel very confident that people can do that.
Oh, well, I mean, I know a lot of our viewers will be happy to hear that. Maybe a lot of them will go and purchase Hawthorne berries. And so you would steep both of them, both the berries and the leaves together to create a tonic or a tea. And could you just do a whole bunch?
Yep.
Or
do you want me to get into dosage? Because I could certainly do that.
I'd love to. I think that's someone that would be interested, because it's an overall herb, right? It can work on very many different organs at once, and it's especially good for the heart, right? We know the hawthorn feeds the heart, right? It's a heart food. I'd love to hear from you, maybe if you have a suggestion for some of our viewers on how to prepare.
Yeah, and you could do a simple tea with just hawthorn berries, leaf, and flower. Leaf and flower tends to have more of the cardiac aspect of it. They're called cardiac glycosides. But the berries are so lovely, and they're red, and they make a pretty tea, and they're very nutritious. So I always combine them for people. And so if someone wants to do just a general circulatory tonic, maybe they have slight hypertension, they want to ward away heart disease, I would have them do at least a tablespoon in 8 ounces of water daily. I would probably have them do at least 3 cups of that a day. So a tablespoon in each cup, because hawthorn is tonic, and you can actually use very large amounts to get an effect in the body. I often will do blends of teas or extracts. And they're usually, it depends on the person and what's going on, but 4, 5, 7 different herbs in a tea, usually less in an extract. So if you were to just take a simple hawthorn extract, which is whole plant, leaf, flower, and berry, and made it like in the concentration that I typically make them in, what you can get in commerce, I would actually have somebody do like a tablespoon 3 times a day.
And this is something that people can find on your site?
I don't sell a lot of the extracts on my site, but I do I do teas. But what I do suggest people do is reach out to me if they're interested in doing something like that, because it's just part of my practice. I like to be able to talk to the person a little bit. There's a lot of self-educating going on.
Don't forget, these women have a website where you can visit and contact them. And I'll mention it again, havawellness.com and sarasherbs.com.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I also have a YouTube page too, so we can put all that information if people are interested.
We will, yes. We did forget to run our welcoming video, but we'll do that at the end as well with our ending video, and people can see all of that information and how to find you too. Hava, I'd love to hear from you on some of your favorite herbs, circulatory herbs. If you have anything to add to what Sara mentioned, I'd love to hear from you.
Well, my favorite is the cayenne. It's like I don't go no further than cayenne. And yes, and some people might feel like it's too much for them, but I've seen an amazing results, from healing ulcers, bleeding ulcers, to really helping with the headaches and creating. And I that much I love cayenne that I made my own formula. Unfortunately, it's out of stock right now, but I made even cayenne salve. That's almost anything that happens in the body, the first thing I suggest to use the cayenne. And that's so interesting, because for me, cayenne is something that really helps to flow. And it's also in all my herbal formulas. And I use cayenne. Why? It just wakes every herb and tells them what to do. Hey, you hawthorn, you go over there, and you rosemary, you go over there. And that's the beauty of the cayenne, that it's like really sends everyone where they need it. I mean, I know the lobila is doing the same, but the cayenne is absolutely incredible. And from bleeding nose, just the simple cases where you have a children or whoever have a bleeding nose and you don't know how to stop, you just give him a few drops of the cayenne tincture on the tongue and count till 10 and the bleeding will stop. Same thing is even as opening the eyes. If the person have a problem and they tell you, oh, I have a vision problem, I don't see, you know what you do? Like one famous herbalist once took cayenne and threw into his eyes, and we did this in 1 hour classes as well. And we've had some ladies really experimenters. They took cayenne and threw in their eyes, and they cried for a couple minutes, but then suddenly the eyes are open widely and beautifully. What does it show? The cayenne brought circulation into, brought life into the area where it was kind of dead. So for me, cayenne is all the way. It's everywhere, even up to your butt. Almost every area. If you're dealing
So
with
it's
a
quick
fungi,
acting as well.
I
It's
can
very
find some
telling
areas
you.
I don't want it in, but you know.
Yeah.
I know, right?
No, I love it
Sometimes
though.
we need to spice it up. Everything. Okay, that's ugly.
I
but
wouldn't put it
whatever.
past you, Hava.
But listen, let's say rosemary, that's so beautiful. That creates circulation. But what rosemary will do if I don't give her a kick with the cayenne first? So even if you want to create, let's say, something with your hair and bring circulation, what you do, you first take some rosemary and add some drops of cayenne, and that will happen. It will stimulate. Now the same thing. Oh, I have a, that's my cayenne is all the way to go. I don't know why I'm
So in
absolutely
tincture
in love.
form and powder form and
In
like
any form that you can
your
find,
salve,
it should be
you can
everywhere.
find-
It should be in your purse. It should be in your. It should be obviously in your kitchen. It should be in your bathroom. It should be in your car. It should be everywhere. You should be kind of surrounded with the cayennes. And sometimes I think, like people need to, buy a fresh cayenne peppers when they're in season and have a strings and put the strings down and hang everywhere in the house. So that way, whenever you need, just pull the one cayenne and
Pluck
stick it
one.
into your.
Yeah, well, I mean,
Yeah.
it is it's summertime and it is pepper season, so I'm sure that soon people can
Yeah.
rush to their local
See,
farmers market or grow it on their own and get some good fresh cayenne.
Yeah, but that's the, I don't know, for some reason I really love cayenne. Like that's what, like my way to go to create circulation almost in almost everything. And that's why I absolutely love this herb. And
You could also drink it as a tea in a tea form, I guess, right?
like, you just have to be careful because it is very, very spicy.
Spicy.
And also you really have to, and many people will tell you that they are having an issues because they are afraid and the cayenne is too spicy. But listen, you can train your body. So you start with a tiny drop and then you add 2 drops and 3 drops till you will be able to train your body. It's the same thing with goes with like with garlic and other pungent herbs. And I absolutely agree with Sara about the hawthorn. Hawthorn is absolutely incredible, and I love hawthorns as well. But for me, circulation number 1 is the cayenne. And yeah, and I've seen amazing results. It doesn't matter what I do. The first thing I use is the cayenne salve, let's say. If I treat ear infection, I'll first rub the cayenne to bring in circulation. If I treat a pain somewhere, I'm going to use first the cayenne. Anything that I want to treat, I first start with the cayenne and then I follow with the rest. That's because I feel like
increase the circulation first, right?
When I close my eyes, I feel like it's like the area is sick, the area is dead. So how you awaken it? You bring in something fast, also ginger, but the cayenne is like will fast will open up the area and the blood will flow. And another beautiful story actually of one healer, and I'll make Dr. Schultz once said that he was called to go to see he's not veterinarian, but they called him because they thought he might help us with help him with the problem that his horse, this guy's horse, was dealing with, and he didn't know what to do, but the only thing he knew is a cayenne. So he put some cayenne in the horse mouth, and the cayenne woke up and from dead become alive. So you don't need more than that.
Wow. I've heard that it can also work wonders for the heart. I mean, if someone is dealing with heart palpitations or, God forbid, a heart attack, I've heard
yes,
that
cayenne
can
will
be
help with the heart. That's why I
fast
suggest,
acting.
yes, cayenne should be in every home. So this is so beautiful because now we learn about the hawthorns and about the cayenne. I absolutely love it. I love it. Now, many other things I use, right? I also, not only herbs, right? I also, let's say my favorite is turpentine, which is also kinda a product that comes from herbs, which comes from pines. Absolutely incredible product. I'm not suggesting drinking it, that's too much, but taking a bath, it's absolutely incredible with turpentine. And you might say, what the hell she's talking about? You don't understand. The turpentine will go in and will start pull the toxins out. I'm just learning about this Russian doctor. His name is Alexander Salmanov. Absolutely incredible treatment by reducing high blood pressure just by putting a person into the turpentine bath.
wow.
Obviously, you need to know how to do it, but incredible results. So that also brings circulation in. And what other herbs? I stick with the cayenne for now.
Well,
I
we
don't wanna put
mentioned
too much.
a lot of the, issues with the body's healing is also the toxicity not being able to flow out because of the improper blood flow. And I would like to give viewers a little, introduction into our next week's class or podcast, which is gut health, right? And we know that everything starts with improper circulation, but when there is poor gut health, that's only going to increase the issue of the improper circulation or the toxicity in the blood. And so our next podcast will be discussing gut health, and all dis-ease begins in the gut, right? So I would love for everybody to be able to join us also live next week, because though we don't have any live viewers right now, we will be answering questions. So at the end of these podcasts, towards the end of these podcasts, we'll give a certain amount of time for questions. That way, if you need any clarification on what's been spoken about, or if you have some other question entirely that wasn't mentioned, this is the opportunity to do so. We have these wonderful healers that have so much knowledge, and they're just ready to spill it at your disposal. So we would love for people to be able to join live and feel free to ask these questions. I would just like to also tie in, since we're nearing the end, that with all of these methods that both of you ladies have mentioned, the real, they overlap each other, and say it basically all issues start with improper circulation. Either you use methods like, and it's an internal and external, like Sara said, right? Use different methods of aura or chakra healing to release that pressure, right? So that things can start flowing, whether it be hot and cold, hydrotherapy, clapping. I love that. I feel like we should have all started clapping this, right? Start with the clap. Oh, just moving right now. Just I could be clapping for the next 10 minutes.
Everybody clap.
But clap, yeah.
Everybody clap. Let's start.
Right? I mean, just introduce light clapping in the morning while you're
absolutely incredible.
While you're choosing what you're going to wear. Just clap around, see what hurts. If your feet hurt, don't wear those awful shoes. Treat your body nicely, right? And then also the different herbs. I mean, at the end of the day, so like I said, so many different herbs can get us to the same result. But like you both said, hawthorn berries, flowers, and stems are something that everybody should probably have on hand, right? If there's an issue that arises, they should make a tonic or a tea or get it in a tincture form or create their own tincture. Maybe we'll do one class where we'll teach how to create your own.
Yeah, that would be amazing.
Yeah, how to create different medicines, right? Or different forms of these herbs that people can ingest and put topically,
Yep.
right? I think I would love that idea. I'd love to hear from viewers next week what they love about it or how they feel about it. Anything else you guys want to add before we wrap it all up and we'll meet again in 2 weeks?
I have a lot
Yeah.
of things. So
Yes.
I'll go.
Yes,
and
please.
Because I really want to summarize everything the way you mentioned. And I also want to feel the people, once they leave our class, that they should take some notes and I just gonna go over a few things that you need to have at home as your own healer, your own doctor, how to you need to have certain tools. So as I mentioned before, we're gonna start by using our hands, which is a clapping. Then other tools can be the clapping tools, and I want to go over a few other tools, which another tool that it's very available to everyone. This is a tool that helps to scrub the body. So that's something that helps to create circulation. So this is one of the good sponges, Korean sponges that I would suggest to have at home at all times. And this is one of the tools will help you also to bring in the circulation. A few other things that I would suggest, and take a note, dry brush. A dry brush is absolutely incredible because you can really stimulate the area. Let's say you have a pain in your your area near the uterus, and so you work on the upper area, upper lower abdomen, and then you massage it by creating circle. You have a stomach issues, you do the same thing. Other things that also wonderful, like ear candles, that's very important. I would suggest that slowly you should invest in those because they will help to create circulation and bring life into your ears. Other things I would suggest is a cups that you can purchase on Amazon. Even 1 or 2 cups is sufficient, but you can really help to move certain areas. You can stick up to the, let's say, certain area and just move the cup from one area to another. That will also create circulation. So cupping is something that I would suggest. Another thing is moxa, my favorite. It's like absolutely incredible. Moxa is very important to have at home. Why? Because let's say when
you have one to show our viewers. I don't know if people would understand what that is. I love it. I've found that it's helped me personally in many different things and in areas. And when I wave it around, and I don't even know that area hurts because I didn't clap on it. Moxa will definitely show your body that area needs working on, and it's something also that is introduced to us by Chinese medicine, right, Sarah?
Correct.
It is what herb is that? Mugwort,
yeah.
Mugwort herb.
Mugwort.
Yeah, sorry. Yes.
So the mugwort, right? This is absolutely incredible. So you should have it. This is the ear candles that you can use that will help with the pain. Other thing, this is the moxa that you lighten up and gently go over. Let's say the way I treat, I apply cayenne and then I apply moxa, and it's double work. Helps to create circulation. Other thing is that I usually also suggest is a zapper. We didn't. It's very hard to mention all of it, but I'll just throw the idea.
Zap. It sounds exactly like what it is, right? Zap.
Zapper is to zapping up, and also helps to kind of, it's a plus and minus that helps to kind of create some sort of a reaction.
Yeah,
and that's wonderful, very good. Other thing is, my favorite is a hot bottle. That's many people here don't understand.
My best friend, a hot bottle.
Only old ladies in their 80s and 90s, maybe they remember their old ancestors, they used hot bottle, but no home should be without hot bottle.
Or a warming blanket, right? People could use a warming blanket.
Hot bottle is a must. Hot bottle in everyone's home, at least 2 or 3, you should always have it. Other thing is that I suggest is the is obviously a light therapy. It doesn't matter if you buy an expensive one or cheap one. Even start with something from $150 from Amazon if you want to support, whatever, doesn't matter. But the idea is a light that also creates circulation. So those are basic tools that you need to have at home. And on that note, I'm ready to say that we are covered.
Bid you guys farewell.
About circulation.
Well, yeah, you definitely dropped a bomb at the end, but I think that a lot of people can take notes on that, and even introducing one thing as simple as a hot bottle to your home if people don't have that, right?
Yeah, even simple things, but take
or even a hot
something from
shower,
it.
like we said, a hot bath, as
100%.
Sarah mentioned. You know, just dunking yourself in that heat in order to create circulation, to release that stagnation, to start things moving. Simple massages,
100%.
chiropractic work. Yeah, I mean, Sarah, anything else?
Yeah, and so I want to say just a couple of things. You are your own healer, right? Our bodies are healing machines. I do suggest people, when they're starting to introduce herbs, is to work with somebody just in case they're on, medications, or if there's, contraindications with their underlying health issues. Bounce some ideas off of somebody like Hava or me that have a knowledge about how herbs work. And also think simply. And I love the hot water bottle idea, because, oftentimes people will ask me, Sarah, what do I do? But I said, salt water. Just use salt water. Just do a saltwater soak. Get your feet in a saltwater bath, or use a saltwater poultice. Salt is so healing. And sometimes people forget about these simple remedies that we've used
Sea salt, right? Sea salt.
Thousands of years. Yes, sea salt is better, but if you only have sodium chloride, it's still going to draw some stuff out, It's still antimicrobial. So it's still going to help with infections, hard to heal wounds. And it's, and the magnesium chloride, which is the Epsom salts, those are wonderful for sleep. So sometimes I think, work with somebody if you're delving into herbalism. Think simply, because some of the oldest remedies that we've used for many thousands of years are still efficacious. It still works. We just don't, as a society, give it credence because, pharma meds are so high tech and awesome, but we also know the downsides of working, the modern medical model working with chronic disease is abysmal. So most of these issues people suffer from aren't acute issues. They're very chronic issues. So I can just say that. And don't forget to, things like yoga and stretching. Stretching is so important to bring circulation, nutrients, and keep you healthy, keep you walking, keep you from getting, injured and things like that. Move your body. That is so important.
100%.
Well, ladies, I think we had such a wonderful first podcast. I hope to see everybody next time. And whoever is going to be joining us at a later time, just know that all of these are recorded. They will be posted once they are loaded and ready to view. A link will be shared with all of our viewers and people who have registered in order to view even at a later time. So even if you did join this class and you did want to see it again, you'll be able to view it again. So I would like to bid everybody farewell, and Sarah will hit play on our wonderful video so that you guys can see and also view, take a second to see the websites that they have, and come back to us next time with all of your wonderful questions. We look forward to seeing you. Bye, ladies.
Bye. Thank you, Nicole, for your wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you, dear Sara. Thank you, everyone.
Thank both of you.
Thank you, both of you.
Thank you.
I'll stop the recording.